What's the best opening you can play if you're 1400? Well, let's go into the Lichess database at 1400 and look at all the games that people play from bullet all the way up to classical. Okay, all set, let's go. So, what's my recommendation with white? Starting with e4. Now, at the top, it shows you the most played move by black, which we're going to be following here. So, e5. Now, my recommendation is to play the exciting King's Gambit, f4. And you can see already white wins 54% of these games, and again, let's follow through what black does most of the time. Most of the time they take the pawn. My recommendation is to play knight out to f3. Knight c6 is what you're going to see most of the time, and you see it already here, like you're winning 50 odd, mid 50s in the games here. My recommendation is, it's going to be following the engine for a lot of this by playing d4, and you get a really solid position. So we've got a strong centre with a knight out, and we're going to recapture this pawn at will. Opponents play d5 most of the time, and we're going to again follow the engine line. So rather than playing e5, which is what most white players will do in this position, I think what you should do is capture the pawn. I agree with the engine here. Queen takes back most of the time, and now my move is knight c3. So we're starting to set up a bit of a trap. So queen's going back to e6. We're quite happy with this because we can block with the bishop. And now you can see already plus 1.3, we're now into the 60s of the games that we win. We win 65% of it. And after this next move by black, you'll see things spike even more on the eval bar. Bang, bishop b4, evaluation now plus 3.4. Whilst they're pinning this knight, they're missing the fact that we can play d5, forking the queen and the knight. So we can follow this through, but we're going to pick up the piece. So most of the time they take our knight with check, take back. They're still in this fork which they can't get out of. They play queen f6 so they can kind of pick up a couple of pawns for it. We take the knight, and you can see here we're plus 3. We're winning 70% of these games at the start of move 10. And if you're worried about them taking here, you don't need to be, because although they take a pawn with check, attacking the king and the rook, once we block with the bishop d2, we're covering it with our queen. So like I say, we're winning 73% of these games. Playing the King's Gambit, the most played responses from black leads you to picking up a fork in the centre of the board. For ones if you don't have the white pieces, let's flip it around. So now you've got the black pieces. What am I recommending you do against e4? Well, here my recommendation is e6. And again, we'll follow what does white do most of the time in this line. d4 is what's played, and we'll go into the French with d5. You've got a choice here about what kind of French white goes into. Half the time, just under, they're going to play the advanced with e5. And our response here is principled c5, trying to undermine the structure. This is all very standard French theory. So c3 is played here. Knight c6 is the move, played by black. Knight f3 from white. And now there's a couple of moves here, both of which I kind of like. One option is queen b6. And the other one is c takes d, and then the final one is bishop to d7. And you can see, looking at the database, queen b6 is played most often, and actually you can get a winning position from this. But my lineup I'm going to show here is why bishop d7 scores the best in the database. So bishop d7, and it's because white most commonly follows up with bishop b5. Watch the engine evaluation. We've flipped now, we're minus 1.2 because of this clever move, knight takes e5. You're thinking, surely we can't get away with this, but it takes the pawn, defends the bishop, and most of the time black takes our bishops and we take back. But just to show, if they take the knight, we pick up the bishop, which is good for us. But what they do most of the time is they take our bishop with check, and we pick that back up with a knight. So we've won white's really advanced central pawn on e5, got a minus 1.5 position, and we're only about 7 moves into this game, and we're winning 60% of this with black. So every indicator is showing this is the way to play. The French can crush people at this level. And what happens if they play d4? So what's my recommendation here? Benoni always scores really well in the database, so c5. And already on move 1, we've now ticked it to be slightly in our favour with black. And what does white do most of the time here? Well, they take our pawn first, d takes c5. Now my recommendation is e6, bringing our bishop out to try and capture this c5 pawn when we're ready. Knight f3, and there's an urge in the database to take it straight away with bishop takes c5, but knight c6 is better, so we're going to play that. Opponent brings out their second knight, and now we're finally ready to capture on c5. And you can see we're ready to put a pawn on d5, got a really nice structure. We've traded a c pawn for white's d pawn, and we're doing pretty well here. And database says we're only 54%. But if we follow it on a few more moves, it gets even better. So here, mistake from white, bishop g5. Why is it a mistake? You think, oh, it's pinning on knight, it can't be that bad. Queen b6, double threat on these two pawns, which is often overlooked. And they don't have time to take our knight because we can take here with check. So now if you look at the database, black's winning 66% of the games, and we're move 5. Minus 0.6, a really strong position, lots of attacking threats. This is the way to play to win lots of games at this level. You are welcome.